Yai dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 dum. Yai da dai dai, yai dum. Ay, 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 dai dai dum. Yada dai da dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 dum. Yai da dai dai, yai dai, yai dai 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 dum. Yada dai da dai 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 dai. Yada dai da dai 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 dum. Yai dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 dai. Yai da dai 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 dum. Yai dai dai, ay 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 dai. Yada dai da dai 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 dum. Yada dai 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 dum. Boker Tov, good morning. Almost Shabbat Shalom. Sorry for anybody that signed on onto the last live. For some reason, a call was coming in and my computer was attaching to the connecting to the call rather than keeping the live on. So here I am live, a few minutes late, but with a clearer connection. I usually put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I didn't. And so when the computer rang as my phone, it messed it up. But here we are, Friday once more, as we are slowly rolling into Shabbat. We are also coming to a close on this week's Parsha, on this week's Torah reading, which is Shoftim. So day one this week of our teaching, we talked about judging our own heart with wisdom. And then we talked about on Wednesday, we talked about pursuing justice with from a compassionate standpoint. And now we come to our culmination of what this week is, although I'm sure I'll teach a little bit for tomorrow also, is asking yourself what kind of legacy you're leaving. And so in this week's Parsha, it says the idea of planting trees that you'll never sit beneath. So at the end of the Parsha, in the middle of the discussion about war, the Torah twists or turns and suddenly says something that's like super unexpected, which is the words of Torah are, when you besiege a city, you shall not destroy its trees. For is the tree of the field of a human being. Okay. Doesn't feel like it fits. It's not really, when we're talking about judgments and judges and the way we're working when there's war, what are we doing? And so at first glance, in a place where we are, it feels out of place. Why are we interrupting a conversation about conflict to talk about trees? Because even in moments of uncertainty, the Torah is always insistent upon our look toward the future. Don't destroy what will be needed for tomorrow. Protect what gives life. Leave something behind. These kind of lessons. And our tradition has always understood this as more than an environmental lesson. Like, yes, we need trees, I understand, for oxygen, but the lesson is more about stewardship. It's about asking ourselves, what am I cultivating that will outlive me? Think about, for a moment, people who planted trees in our own lives. Perhaps it was parents who taught you kindness, a grandparent who modeled generosity, a teacher who believed in you before you could even believe in yourself, a friend who stayed when others walked away. They planted something. Years later, you're living in its shade. So I'd imagine that most of us won't be remembered for one extraordinary moment. But I know with confidence that we'll be remembered for the countless small seeds that we planted. The encouragement we offered, the patience we showed, the values we modeled, the time we gave, the love that we shared. And one of the essential, or lots of people's favorite Jewish teaching says, it's not your responsibility to finish the work, but neither are you free to abandon it. Sounds freeing to me. You don't have to accomplish everything, Torah is saying. Hey, that's a Jewish teaching. You don't have to do it all, but you have to simply plant faithfully. Sometimes we are discouraged, I think, because we don't see immediate results. We can thank Amazon for that, right? You can't even actually, nowadays, it used to be Amazon, everything came the next day. Now, so very little comes the next day, and we're waiting, and we're annoyed. But it was never like that. You used to have to go to 40 stores and then never found what you wanted. And it was like, 3 weekends in a row, you're looking for the same thing, shopping everywhere. Amazon came along and we were getting what we wanted and we were doing it quick, and immediate results are that. There are people that, want to be, runway ready, but know that doesn't just snap your fingers and it happens. We're not I Dream of Jeannie. We're not, folding our arms and nodding our heads and things are happening. But that is human nature, to be discouraged when we just can't get it. But it's because it's a result of the things that have manifested and changed from Torah time to now, even in our own lives. Things are always being enhanced, making it easier, quicker, better. We want to know if our efforts mattered. Like, did I make a positive change in this person's life? Let me see the result. If our kindness made a difference, if our teaching took root, if our love changed anything. But if we think back to the trees for a moment, we know that trees don't grow overnight, and neither do people, neither do communities, neither does faith. But the Torah reminds us that some of the most important work we do is the work whose full harvest we may never see. And that's okay, because every generation benefits from someone else's faithfulness. So what we do, our efforts may never be seen. It reminds us of the story that we tell for Tu B'Shvat about Honi, the circle maker, that he's planting for the generations yet to be. And that's what we're doing. That's what it is. Because somebody else will benefit. It's not to say I'm not doing that, I'll never see it. It's to say I'm doing it because it will make someone else's life easier, and I may not see it, and maybe I will, but I'm still going to do it. And I often think about Shabbat in the same way. Like every Friday night, we're lighting candles, but we're lighting them because our grandparents lit them. Melodies, some are new, some are old, but the liturgy, it comes from something that was sung before we got here. Blessing of the children, in words that are forever. Maybe we modernize them, but tradition says these are the words, bless your children, because guess what? They've been getting blessed like that since Torah time. None of us created these traditions. Some of us continue to do so. But in the middle, between what was and what is now, there were people that preserved this tradition for us. And that reminds us that it's our turn to continue to do that. That every act of kindness, every lesson that is taught, every child that's encouraged, every person that's comforted, every prayer that's whispered is another seed in the ground. And so as we reflect on the week gone by and as we dive into Shabbat together, we ask, what tree are you planting today? What part of your life do you hope will continue to bear fruit long after you're gone? Simple questions, but definitely worth the internal conversation of self. This week's Parsha, Shoftim, reminds us that faith is never only about today. It's about tomorrow and the tomorrow after that and the tomorrow after that. Friends, may we have the wisdom to plant more than we consume. May we leave behind more hope than fear, more kindness than criticism, more encouragement than discouragement. And may those who come after us find shade beneath the trees whose seeds were planted by ordinary people like you and I, who simply chose to love faithfully, because that might be the greatest legacy we leave. It's not what we build for ourselves, but what continues to grow because we were here. We are one human family, one heart of abundant love. We love you, and we look forward to seeing you tonight at 6:30, tomorrow at 9:30. Chodesh Tov. Thank you for being here. Jeneba and Linda, Bet, Suze, Elisa, whoever else is watching that hasn't checked in. Thank you for rejoining, since if you didn't catch the beginning, the live went on and my phone rang and it connected to that. So I had to cut the live and restart it. But I'm grateful that you found me here, and we'll see you tonight. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. 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 Oravinu Chai. Have a great day, everybody. Plant those seeds and continue to water them.